Some business ideas are brilliant, other ideas are trash. How can you tell the difference? Well, I'm out here. I just had a really neat idea, and I'm gonna walk you through my process. Hope this mic is working. I got my Big K drink of champions. It's the knockoff of Diet Dr. Pepper, and we're ready to rock and roll. But I'm shooting this video right now because video is actually one of the best ways to figure out, does the idea have legs? In the words of Pat Flynn in his best-selling book, Will It Fly? Well, let me tell you two things that I would do for starters, and how video is one of the most efficient, money-wise and time-wise ways to figure out, will it fly or not? So you're going to tell us two things in a video. One, you're going to tell us the idea. If at all possible, tell us the idea in one line, in one sentence, in one breath. Why? Because if you can't explain the thing in one sentence, even if someone likes your idea, they're not going to be able to share that sentence with anyone else. They're not going to be able to share your idea with anyone else. If you can't say it clearly, it's like you didn't say it at all. They're like, oh, my friend Ed has a really cool idea. It's about stuff, right? Like, that's all they got. But that's why when you pitch movies, I'm a huge movie nerd. Do you know the movie Alien? The way they got it made was they said, the movie Alien, which became Aliens, which became Alien 3, Alien Resurrection, Alien Earth on Disney+. Whoa. Well, I guess it's FX Hulu, but that was a cool show. I liked it. Shout at me in the comments if you liked it. Shout at me if you hated it too. Let's talk. But anyway, the way they pitched the original Aliens, and it's become $1 million franchise. The way they started was, it's Jaws, but in space. Now, if you're an old school movie nerd, or you were born in the 80s, you know exactly what I just said. Think Jaws, but in space. Yo, it made sense, and it only took seconds, and that way the idea could spread. They could pitch it around, and then you get into the details. There's a lot of detail that's missing. It's Ridley Scott that's directing, right? And if you know anything about movies, that would mean something. But that first line, not everybody in the industry knows why that would be that important. And you could sell the story before you go to all the trouble of writing the dang thing, shooting the thing, putting out there. And it's a great, early pressure test to see if this idea is even worth pursuing. Does it get people excited? Then it's pretty cool. So if I was to tell you the idea I just had in one sentence, and this is a great test, will it fly or not? The one-liner I came up with was Duolingo, but for learning the language of the Bible. Maybe I'm insane. But coming up with a one-liner is the first thing. And if you are excited about the Bible, you're excited about Bible languages, you might have felt something just now. If you felt nothing, then I just figured out maybe I shouldn't spend so much time thinking about this. But that's what it was. And if I was to expand on it just a little bit more, you can have different versions of it that you should be play testing, but you want to tell it to a video. I'll get into why the video too in a second, but first, you got to be able to tell us the idea in one line. But the longer version of this that I came up with, a one-liner, is discover the Bible in a new way by learning a little Greek in 5 minutes a week. So I like how that last bit rhymed a bit. I had to think it through, but this is part of that process. Discover the Bible in a new way by learning a little Greek in just 5 minutes a week. And just minutes a week maybe is better, more accurate. But I was like, is Duolingo for that? Because this doesn't exist. This doesn't exist. Now, and there's reasons I said it that way. I can get into it in the comments. If you want to invest, hit me up, baby. Let's go. But the reason we want to tell it on video is, honestly, if you can't tell it on video, and if it stresses you out to talk about it, and if you can't think of a way to say it succinctly, especially if it's a startup, you're gonna have to pitch this thing at some point, aren't you? Ain't you? And even if you're not doing live pitching like Shark Tank or startup competitions, Pitch Fest, whatever, you're still going to have to tell people the idea. You're going to have to stand up at some point and announce your new business idea, your new offer to someone, somewhere, somehow. So it's good to get that practice. And video is a great way to clarify. In some ways, it's even better if you get stressed out. by video, because if you get stressed on video, it's going to force you to make it even simpler because you don't want to be talking to the camera that long. So video. And the process of making a video, it's kind of like the process of writing it down. What's that website company? I think is Shopify? No, it's the other one. But they say one of their big marketing slogans last year was a website makes it real. They sponsor like all these podcasts. They're not doing a good job because I can't remember their name. It's on them. It's not on me. It's on them. It's bad marketing. I almost got it. Maybe it's Square. No, shout at me in the comments if you know what it is. I can't remember. But a website makes it real because you have to go to the trouble of getting a picture and getting the words right. A video is even faster because building a website is a pain in the behind, if you know what I mean. So try shooting a quick video where you explain it, because you're not just ideas don't sell themselves. If you build it, they will not come. If you sell it, they will buy. But you got to sell it. You got to sell us the idea. And the easiest way to see whether this idea is even any good, and you don't have to even show the video to anyone, but can you explain it in a 30-second video? If you can, and it makes sense, and it's shareable, and it's understandable by a 4th grader, like a 9-year-old could get it, then you're in good shape. If not, that's your first sign that maybe this idea needs a bit more work. But just because you can't get it there immediately doesn't mean it's a bad idea. But that's going to be one of your first steps to making the thing fly. It won't have wings if you can't come up with a way to say it in a half minute, right? A one-liner. The bad thing about putting your mic on a drink is it's not easy to drink. Look what I cracked it open. But I didn't fully open because this mic is so small. I didn't want it to fall in the drink. All right. Second thing, though, you want to be able to tell your story. You see, we don't just buy products and services in 2026. Real talk. In the startup world, they have a saying. You don't bet on the horse, you bet on the jockey. Bet on the jockey, not the horse. What does that mean? You bet on the dude riding the horse. Why? It's not just the skill. It's not just whether the horse is any good. It's whether the driver is good at driving that horse and making sure it actually delivers. That's why you don't just buy a coaching program. You buy into the coach. We buy into you, not what you're building. Or we buy into both, actually. So like the one-liner has to crush. That's your horse. But we have to buy into you too. And you have to be able to tell your story. And that's one of the reasons why, like, let's say you came up with the next iPod or the next smartphone or something really insanely big. Wouldn't it be dope to have that moment captured on video? And I had the idea for Theo, my little Bible learning app. There's reasons for Theo. If you're a Bible nerd, you know that Luke wrote the Gospel of Luke, where you have most of the Christmas story written to a dude named Theophilus. So I was like, what if it was like duo, but it was Theo? And I've got like all these fun ideas, but it's too early for all of that. Like, tell you some of the ideas I have. It's like, let's design it so it looks like the Bible app for kids. If you know Bible stuff, you know that that's a really dope app with a great sense of design. It's going to be, the vibe is going to be somewhere between VeggieTales and The Chosen. It's going to be fun, entertaining, but it's going to be significant. We're going to actually teach you how to find life-changing insights from the Bible by understanding the language and a little Greek. We're not going to go super deep with it. These are all things I left out of that one-liner. It's important-ish, but actually you're getting ahead of yourself. That's a trap, because I don't want to build all of that just yet. I'm thinking about the big world out there, but I need to build a testable version. I don't need to build a 747. I've got to be like the Wright brothers, that first airplane. What is the bare minimum? Get the thing off the ground. I ain't building 747s, right? I'm building a glider with a little tiny engine on the front. Just enough to get off the ground and prove that the thing can work. Get cash, get paid, because getting paid, getting people to buy in is actually really, if you don't have people buying in, you have a hobby, you don't have a business. And it could be a very expensive hobby if you treat it like a business. And that's the mistake we're trying to avoid here. Going on from there though, tell your story. Capture that moment, capture where you were. I was at church sitting in the front row thinking, my gosh, I'm really good at learning languages, because I lived overseas in 2 different countries and I learned 2 of the hardest languages in the world, Russian and Chinese. I learned a language that some could argue is a dying language. It's not totally at risk, but the Kyrgyz language is not spoken by that many people. I lived in Kyrgyzstan, right? And I was terrible at languages in school. was always a BC student in Japanese, my own language. Japanese American fourth generation. Don't get too bad on me. My parents didn't speak. My grandparents barely spoke, right? But I thought I was bad at languages until I moved to Asia and I started learning them in country and I started language hacking. I realized, you know what? 20% of words get you 80% of your conversations. What if we focused on that first? What if we were smart about this? What if we pursued it in a way that actually worked practically? And that's how I became conversationally fluent in those 3 languages. And I am tourist fluent, I would say, in Japanese and Korean now too. I know some language, guys. And if you want to look me up, I'm killing it in Russian. I finished the entire Duolingo course and it's easy for Russian, and I'm halfway through Chinese. And that's when it finally got hard. I actually skipped all the way to the halfway point. Never took a Chinese class in my life. Nothing formal. Anyway, I've like, what if we could do that for people with arguably one of the more important languages that is not a spoken language? Everything that tries to teach you Greek is super academic. That's why I never really pursued it and didn't go to seminary, or don't get excited by the idea of going to seminary to learn it, right? But anywho, if that video is of interest to people, this is a very good sign. If you can make the video and you can say the one-liner and it makes sense to people, that is a very good sign. If they get excited about it, extremely good sign. Because before you even go in and build it, you want to validate the idea, see if it works, see if people are interested, see if they want to follow the journey, see if they'd want to pay you money at some point. But you have to see if the idea is good, right? And a video is a really cool, it cost me nothing. I already own my phone. I just push record, I say the idea, and it's out there. And some of you in the comments, if this is an interesting idea to you, comment and tell me about it. I'd love to chat, right? But this is all training too, because I'm going to need to get really, really good at telling the story until I'm bored telling the story. That's the sign that you're getting to the place where you're saying it enough. And this will be your first draft, and your first video will be your worst video. If you're very new to video, this will be the worst video you ever make, but it will only get better from here. And if the idea has wings, it will fly and you'll be fine. This is exactly, by the way, what we talk about in Small Business Video School, the free community that I run. Join us through the link in the description where we help you make 2 videos in 20 minutes and get that video side off the ground. But it's a great way to test new ideas, whether it's a startup like a tech thing or whether it's just a new offer in your existing business. But you got to see if it will fly. And the best way to do it is by not spending money, not spending any more time that you have to. You want to do it in the minimal viable way. Super lean is the word we use in the startup world. Minimum viable product is the world. I would say minimum viable pitch. And that's the other MVP. It's the other MVP, minimum viable. What's the bare minimum you can make? And then you want to build the bare minimum. I'm not going to build a whole app, even though you theoretically could with Base 44, and I've built a lot of apps this year in the last 12 months with Base 44. I would build the simplest possible version. And the funniest thing is I'm thinking this app could actually live as a YouTube channel, but that's another video for another time. Comment if you're interested in that, and I'll see you in the next video.